Hello and welcome to my channel. This is April with inkycreationswithapril.com. I'm so glad you stopped by. Let's get started. Today I am participating in the Altenew collaboration with Picket Fence Studios. I'll be featuring the Altenew Stampwheel and this great stamp set from Picket Fence Studios. For all the information about this video hop today, please check the description below. It'll tell you all about the giveaway and it'll let you know who is next on the hop list. So make sure to check that description so you don't miss any of the videos. Let's get started with our fun card. We're going to use the stamp wheel and this super cute set from Picket Fence Studios called Hey Hey Hey. This little scarecrow is too cute. Comes with coordinating dies. Love that they have all the word and sentiment cutouts included in here. So let's get started. First, we're going to create a fun background. And I'm going to use a piece of 110-pound cardstock. And this is cut to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. We're going to make a fun square card today. So I am going to get this put right in the middle of my card, and I just kind of eyeball it and get it the best I can. There are alignment guides that go with the Altenew stamp wheel that I highly suggest. I do not have them. They're on my list to get. This would make aligning this so much easier. Okay, once we have this all aligned in the middle and it is stuck down, this has basically the same stuff that our clear stamp sets are made out of. So it's nice and sticky. It holds your cardstock right where you want it. It will not move. This is also great for stenciling, but we're going to use it for something really fun today, and that is making a wreath. So I am going to, out of my Hey 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 stamp set, I am going to use a sentiment. I'm going to use the I love fall most of all, and I'm going to use these 2 pumpkins. Something else you could throw in here is the little notes in here. Those would be great fillers in your wreath as well. There's some also other little words that you could use, but this is what I chose. So I'm going to stick my little pumpkins aside, and I'm going to figure out kind of where I want my stamp to start. I want it to be in this corner. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of seeing what line this is. And if you notice, this is full of grid lines, so it helps to line stuff up perfectly. So I'm just going to flip this over and do just a little bit of adjusting. And once I have that going, I'm ready to go. I always know where the top of my stamp wheel is. This plate is because there's a hole right here. So I have no problems figuring out where my top is. And I can't lose my place while I'm doing my wreath. So I'm also going to use the fresh dye inks. And I'm going to use the Lettuce Celebrate. This is a great green. And I'm just going to flip that over and stamp that up, and then flip that right back over, and it just goes right into place and makes stamping really easy. So I know that I want to leave enough room for my pumpkins. So that's too close. So I'm actually going to go 2 rotations. So once I know how I'm going to rotate, I am just going to keep stamping and rotating my wheel around and stamping everything nicely into place. Okay, I am inking up my very last sentiment here in my rotation. Again, I'm just counting 1, 2, and I am done. I'm gonna flip that over, clean up my plate, and so we can get started with our next image. So now we need to fill in our wreath here. So I'm going to start with this small pumpkin. I know I want this right down here in the middle. So making sure that my open hole there is at the top. I'm going to put that into place, pick that up, and all I'm going to do is make sure it's nice and even right there, and it's right where I want it. So I'm just going to adjust it a little bit, and then I am ready to stamp the next part of my wreath. This makes wreath building so quick, so easy, and takes out all the guesswork. So we're going to use the Peachy Keen fresh dye ink this time. And I am just going to do the exact same as I did before. I'm going to count 1, 2 holes, flip that over, 2 holes, 2 slots, as I guess you could say, and work my way around. So I'm going to see where I was last time, and then just 1, 2. And you can also eyeball it by seeing where it fits right between the sentiments that we stamped for our first step in our wreath that we're building here. Okay, I've got my next pumpkin all lined up and ready to go on my plate here. And for this one, we're going to use the Tangerine Dream. This is a beautiful orange. And again, you can either count how many times you need to move, or once you start getting images in here, it's just really easy just to flip it and see exactly where you need to place your next stamped image. Okay, I've got my next image all in place on my wreath here, and we're just going to do a little bit of fill in here. I'm going to use that smaller pumpkin and the Peachy Keen fresh dye ink. Okay, I moved my small pumpkin, and again I'm going to use that Peachy Keen, and I'm going to fill in my last pumpkin in my last spot here. Okay, I have my wreath as full as I want it. You could definitely make it fuller with some of those smaller images. I'm going to take something sharp and carefully pull that up. Like I said, this background sticky mat is really sticky, which makes it great for other techniques like stenciling and ink blending. So I'm just going to clean this up. Just clean it as you would any clear stamp. I'm just using some homemade stamp cleaner, and I have it nice and clean. I'm going to set this aside for just a few minutes, and we're going to go ahead and stamp just a couple more things, just so all the stamping is done all at one time. So next we need to stamp our large image here, and that's our little scarecrow. So I'm just going to peel him off carefully. He's pretty big, so want to be careful. And I am going to get him put on there. Sorry, I have a cat here. Get that put on there. And so here I'm just using the stamp wheel again as just a stamp positioner. Works great for that. I am going to heat emboss this, so I'm just prepping my paper here. And I'm going to use some of the Altenew crisp embossing powder in crystal clear and just my Obsidian black ink to ink this guy up. I have a coffee filter here for my embossing powder. So I'm just going to ink him up and just turn it over and put it right down into place. Just kind of making sure it's all nice and pressed down in there. And just to be safe, I'm going to ink him up twice, just to make sure I have a nice, clear, crisp, black image. Okay, and then I am just going to set that aside real quick because I am heat embossing, so I do want to pill this up and pour on my embossing powder real quick. I just have a coffee filter that I'm going to catch this in and sprinkle that all over. Tap off any extra, and I tap off very gently because I don't want to remove any of the powder that's actually stuck to the ink, but this just kind of helps move anything that's not stuck. And I'll just pour this very carefully back in this container. And the last thing I have is my sentiment. I'm going to use this great one that says it's time for sweaters, scarecrows, and pumpkins. But as you can see, there's a ton of great sentiments in here. So I am just going to stamp this here. Okay, I quickly cleaned my scarecrow off. So he's off of my plate here. And I am ready to stamp the sentiment now. And again, I'm going to heat emboss this. And I just want to heat emboss one time. You can see my scarecrow, he's still sitting over here. He's fine while we get this stamped. Again, I'm stamping with the Obsidian black pigment ink and going to heat emboss it in the Altenew clear, crystal clear embossing powder. Okay, these are both stamped, and I've poured the crystal clear embossing powder over them, and now I just need to set them, and I'll be right back. Okay, both of these images are heat set. All the powder is melted. I'm going to set those aside. And before I put my stamp wheel away, we're going to use it for one more thing, and this is ink blending. I love how easy this makes it. This bottom plate doesn't move, and this little grip mat that's in here doesn't move, and my cardstock's going to stay right there. I'm going to start with the Peachy Keen, see what we think, and see if we need to add any other darker orange with that tangerine green. I'm using the large blending brush from Altenew, and I'm just going to start off and work my way around the edge. And you know what? I think this Peachy Keen color is going to be plenty dark enough, and I will not have to use that darker Tangerine Dream to get the look that I want. So I am going heavier around the outside, and if you see, my cardstock is not moving at all, which I love. So this makes ink blending great. Okay, that looks awesome. All right, so I am done with my stamp wheel for today. So I'm just going to pop this up and move this off to the side. A couple more things I want to do to this panel is I want to use some splatter. So let's start with that. I'm just taking a water brush here, and I'm going to use some of the Let Us Celebrate first. I'm going to put me down some of that pigment here. I just have a little bit of distilled water. I'm going to add a couple drops to it to get it moving and get that all mixed up. And then I'm just going to tap that on my background panel. And I'm going to tap it till I'm happy. Okay, I just have some water over here. I'm going to clean this brush out till it's nice and clean. I have a paper towel off to the side so I can see when it's clean. Perfect. Now before I do a big cleanup, I'm going to grab the Tangerine Dream, and I'm going to put that over here. And we're going to do the same thing. Add a little bit of water to get that pigment moving, and then just do a little tapping. I love some good splatter on a background panel. Okay, let's set this aside to dry while I get everything cleaned up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're gonna take this guy here and we're gonna do a little bit of watercoloring. And we're gonna use some of the watercolor, Woodless watercolor pencils from Altenew. So I'm just gonna drop out all my colors here. There's 24 of them, and grab what I need. So I'm gonna start with his hat, and if I wanna see how any of the colors look, I'm just gonna scribble up here just to give me an idea of what the colors look like. So I am happy with my choice. So I'm gonna start with his hat, and all I'm gonna do is just a little bit, well, it's pretty easy. These watercolor pencils make it super easy. I'm just gonna add some of the pigment, and then all you do is take and put a little water with it and get the pigment moving. Super easy. And I'm keeping the watercoloring pretty simple and pretty light. Okay. And I'm going to make his skin a yellow, or his body. Because he is made out of straw and burlap and such. So I am just going to put on a little music while I color here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm all done coloring, and I am going to take the dies that come with the Hey 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 set from Picket Fence Studios, and I am going to use this on that one. And since these have dies that match the sentiments, I'm going to use this one right here. This is small enough I can run through my mini blossom. This one I'll have to take to a bigger die cut machine. And once I'm done die cutting, I'll be right back. Okay, while I die cut, I went ahead and die cut a couple more just plain white for the sentiment. I want to stack that up just a little bit, and that's a great way to add a little bit of height to a sentiment or any die cut, is to just cut it multiple times and layer it up. I chose not to do that with my little scarecrow because when you put foam tape behind it, you get a little bit more shadowing, and I want that for this guy. So I'm just going to flip him over, and I'll stack these up in a minute, but I'm going to flip this over, and with a pair of scissors, I am just going to cut small pieces of foam tape that I will put on the back of my scarecrow so we can pop him up. Okay, so I put foam tape, little tiny pieces. It took me a little bit, but I just cut them with a pair of scissors to the size I need. And I stack these up with some liquid glue and put something heavy on them while that dried a little bit to adhere. So let's start putting our card together. Okay, so I have all my pieces here for us to start assembling. So I have just some light orange cardstock from my stash that I have cut to 11 by 5.5 inches, scored it at 5.5 inches. I have my background panel here that we're just going to adhere right to the back of this. And you can use whatever adhesive you like to use here. You could pop it up if you want, but my scarecrow's already popped up, so I thought that was enough dimension. Press that into place, and when I make a card like this with a colored cardstock card base, I do like to add a panel, and this is just 80-pound white cardstock here. So I've just glued a panel of 80-pound white cardstock in there for stability. And now we're going to start putting our little card together. We're going to decide where we want our little scarecrow and where we want our cute little sentiment here. And I think I like this layout here. So I'm going to peel off the back of the foam tape on my scarecrow. Okay, I've got all the release paper taken off of my foam tape. I'm going to get him right where I want him. Put him into place. Glue down my sentiment. And then I am going to grab some fun enamel dots to finish off our card. And we're just going to pop those around the card. Okay, as I finish putting enamel dots around my scarecrow, please remember to check the description box below for all the details about the Altenew and Picket Fence Studios collab featuring the Altenew Stampwheel. You'll be able to, again, find all the information about the hop, the prizes that are available, and who is after me on the hop. You'll want to make sure to watch their video to see what they did with this fun tool and products from Picket Fence Studio. You definitely won't want to miss that. I think this turned out super cute. Fall is right around the corner, and this was perfect for fall. I love how the Stampwheel took the images from the Hey 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 set from Picket Fence Studio and made a wonderful wreath. This set is super cute, screams fall, and I happen to love fall. So thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. See you next time.